459 confirmed kills. That was the last count Evelyn Darrow had tallied before she traded her sniper rifle for a John Deere tractor. She'd been the most lethal Green Beret sniper of her division, ghost-like in movement, unerring in aim, relentless in purpose. But death had taken enough from her. When her husband passed away 2 years ago, Evelyn returned to the only place that ever felt like sanctuary, the old family farm in Pine Hollow, Wyoming. Her 2 teenage kids needed roots. She needed peace. Evelyn was 50. Her skin bore the patina of a life lived hard, scars on her arms, sun-leathered cheeks, and a right knee that ached like vengeance every time the weather turned. But she was still strong, still sharp. Her peace wasn't built on denial. It was earned, forged in the aftermath of a battlefield that no longer involved rifles but rusted fence posts, stubborn soil, and the rhythmic clatter of livestock gates at dawn. The land brought her back to life. Each morning, she was out before sunrise, smelling of diesel, damp hay, and coffee. Her hands were rarely still. Her soul, long unsettled by war, found its quiet in the buzz of cicadas and the smell of manure. She had no neighbors in sight, only the whisper of wind across barley fields and the memories she kept locked away in the back of her mind. But peace has a fragile heartbeat. It was a Tuesday. The sun hadn't yet climbed above the tree line when Evelyn spotted the cruiser. She had been repairing the western fence, one of those chores that never truly ended. She heard it before she saw it, the slow, deliberate crunch of tires on gravel. Too measured to be casual. Her body reacted before her mind caught up. She instinctively moved behind the nearest post, just enough shadow to watch without being seen. The police car came into view. Black and tan. State patrol, not local. Behind the wheel sat an officer with mirrored aviators, his expression unreadable. Beside him, a man in plain clothes scanned her land like a broker at an auction, eyes cold and calculating. Neither waved. Neither spoke. They rolled past her driveway and vanished without so much as a nod. Her gut turned. Later that day, her 16-year-old daughter, Lena, came tearing into the barn, eyes wide. "Mom." Mrs. Hardwick from the gas station called. "2 cops were asking questions about us. Who lives here? How long we've owned the property? If we've made any modifications." Evelyn wiped her hands on an old rag. "Did they say why?" Lena shook her head, hair clinging to her cheeks. She said they looked military, not normal cops. Serious. "Where's your brother?" "Out back with Duke." Duke, their Australian shepherd, barked sharply outside the henhouse. Not a playful bark. A warning. Evelyn didn't need more than that. She grabbed her old field jacket, laced up her boots, and stepped outside into the fading light. Her 12-year-old son, Caleb, stood near the coop with Duke growling low beside him. 3 black SUVs, he whispered. Passed by twice today. Slowed down both times. Duke's been on edge all afternoon. Like last year, when the coyotes came down from the ridge. Evelyn nodded slowly. "Both of you stay close to the house. Lock the doors. No one gets in unless it's me or Aunt Maggie. Understand?" "Yes, ma'am." She drove into town, dust trailing behind her like smoke. At Hollow Ridge Feed and Grain, the usual chatter quieted as she entered. Sam Langley, the owner, leaned across the counter. "You seen the cruisers?" "Today," Evelyn said. "And 3 SUVs. Sam's jaw tightened. "They're not local. State task force out of Cheyenne. New zoning enforcement unit. Word is, they've been leaning on landowners, talking about code compliance, rezoning. Folks who resist? They get hit with fines. Or worse. Anyone I know? The Parkers. Refused to sell their water rights. 2 days later, their barn mysteriously caught fire. Electrical, they said. A bell jingled. Maggie, Evelyn's childhood friend and the town's unofficial historian, stepped inside, clutching a newspaper. "You need to read this." She unfolded the paper and pointed to an article buried deep on page 6. It showed Sheriff Douglas Pike standing beside several unfamiliar officers in black tactical gear. The headline read, "New State Task Force Launches Rural Compliance Initiative." Evelyn scanned the article. These weren't the deputies who used to wave at her during harvest season. These were men trained for war, not community. Outsiders. Military consultants. She could smell the aggression between the lines. Back home, Lena and Caleb waited on the porch. They came back. Lena whispered. "Same SUV. Parked just down the road." "They're watching how we respond," Evelyn said quietly. "Testing our rhythm." That night, she returned to the barn and pulled open a false wall behind the hay. There, wrapped in oiled cloth, was a Beret .50 caliber sniper rifle. Beside it, night scopes, encrypted radios, and field manuals sealed in plastic. Her old gear, untouched for years. She cleaned each piece, slowly, lovingly. Not with anger. With resolve. 2 days later, the war came to her door. 3 cruisers. 6 officers. 1 clipboard. Sheriff Pike stood tall, hands on his belt. "Ms. Darrow," he called from the driveway. "We're conducting a zoning compliance inspection. You didn't schedule anything. New authority granted by the state legislature. I don't need to. Refusal to comply could result in fines, arrest, asset seizure. You want to inspect anything?" Evelyn replied coolly, stepping down the porch steps. "You bring a warrant." The smirk slid from his face. "You've got till Friday. After that, this gets real." She watched them leave, saw the gleam in their eyes, the hunger. They weren't coming back with paperwork. They were coming back with weapons. That evening, the barn filled with old friends. Sam, Maggie, Tom from the hardware store, Ruth, a retired EMT. Evelyn laid out aerial maps, radio frequencies, fallback positions. "This isn't about code violations," she said. "They want the land, our water, our silence. If I fall, they'll come for you next." Sam swallowed hard. "But they're the law." "No," Evelyn said. "They're wearing the law like a costume." In the days that followed, the people of Pine Hollow prepared. Trapdoors were disguised in chicken coops, barbed wire concealed in tree lines, old tools repurposed into defenses. Evelyn trained Lena and Caleb in hand signals, cover drills, fallback routes. It wasn't paranoia. It was legacy. Friday came. Fog clung to the earth like breath, and with it came the storm. 6 SUVs, 2 armored vans. Drones circled overhead. Officers in black tactical gear, visors down, rifles ready. Evelyn was already in the loft, rifle mounted. Her breath was slow, heart steady, radio in her hand. "Positions. Stay low." Sheriff Pike's voice echoed below. "Final warning. This property is seized under state compliance authority." 1 shot. The cruiser's engine burst into smoke. The ambush was on. Paintball rounds laced with powder blinded 3 officers. Tripwires sent 2 sprawling into the mud. A pit trap swallowed a rear SUV. Maggie triggered a barricade, sending flames across the north field, cutting off retreat. Caleb threw smoke bombs from behind the barn, guiding families to fallback shelters. Lena, silent and composed, relayed signals like a soldier born. Every shot Evelyn fired hit tires, radios, or knee joints, never fatal. She wanted them alert, conscious, aware. They were losing. Sheriff Pike tried to flee, but his vehicle hit a net trap and flipped sideways into the ditch. Evelyn descended from the barn, rifle slung behind her, boots crushing gravel. She opened the driver's door. The sheriff raised a pistol, but his hands trembled. "It's over," she said simply. "You think this ends anything?" He spat. "You think I'm the only one?" She didn't blink. "No, but I think you'll be the last one to come uninvited." By noon, helicopters hummed overhead. Reporters flooded the valley. Someone had leaked drone footage. It showed everything. A task force dressed like soldiers storming a family farm. Children targeted. Homes raided. But the footage also showed Evelyn calm, precise, resolute. A warrior standing guard over her legacy. That evening, real federal agents arrived. They didn't bark threats. They didn't wave guns. They took statements. Collected evidence. Arrested Pike and 6 deputies without a struggle. The farm bore scars, burned fences, shattered glass, streaks of blood. But the land held. The people held. As twilight wrapped Pine Hollow in gold, Evelyn stood on the porch, Caleb asleep against her shoulder, Lena scanning the horizon one last time. They had come for her land, for her life, for her quiet. But they had forgotten something. You don't corner a predator. And Evelyn Darrow? She hadn't forgotten how to fight. But more than that, she had a town behind her now. And next time, they wouldn't just find a sniper. They'd find a mother, a guardian, a symbol, and a promise, burned into the soil, etched into the wood, and whispered between survivors. We do not fall. We fire back.